and welcome to our ongoing series Indian Innovation for Human Development, and today we have as a guest MySTEM Lab. They are young entrepreneurs who have made their mark in Indian education by bringing MySTEM Lab and helping science made more fun. Welcome everyone and please introduce yourself.
I'm Vivek Yadav. I'm the CEO of MySTEM Lab. The idea of MySTEM Lab is to make science interesting for school students. Now, how we make science interesting is we have set entire curriculum based on it. But in a jest, I will say that when we say we make science interesting, we try and explain concepts, science concepts in very simple and communicable terms, that the way we are talking. Then students do experiments based on those concepts. And thirdly, most important thing is where those concepts are applied in the real world. So we combine this all together whenever we are teaching science to the students.
Hi, I am Bhavna Chibbar. So I basically work as an academic head in the organization. As Vivek mentioned, that we basically work with schools. So I look after the management, the operations and the logistic parts with schools, like how the program is implemented in the school, how it is going on. We have a team of around 40 plus teachers who are working in different schools in different locations.
I'm Bhargav Ramreddy. MySTEM Lab, I'm one of the founders along with Mr. Vivek, and I'm more into developing more new projects, how things can be taken further simplified, or what new products or new developments can be made so that we can explore more areas in the area of study what students are studying and simplify them. Let it be coding or science or math involving multi-dimensional studies.
Hi, I'm Mehak and I'm Senior STEM Coordinator here. And basically I'm handling all the CSR projects, and that we are working in remote areas of Chhattisgarh and Rajasthan mainly. And I'm a chemistry person, so I used to develop chemistry based projects as well for students from grade 3 to 10.
What is MySTEM Lab?
The idea started way back when I was in my college days. I was in my engineering and I wanted to make a project and I wanted to buy a motor. So when I went to that shopkeeper, I said that I want to make a project, can you give me a motor? So he said, which motor? So I said a motor I need it for a project. So he said, what torque, what RPM? So that day a thought came into my mind that if we are being taught that how does a motor work, we could also be taught a line ahead that this is how a motor is specified in the real world. It solves a lot of my problem. This was the thought that came into my mind when I was in second year of my engineering. So I thought that why not we go to the schools and tell whatever concept is being taught. That's the point where the idea came that whatever is being taught, we must link it to the practical world, so that tomorrow if we are making something, it becomes easy for us to apply those concepts.
So just to add on what Vivek has said on what inspired us to start MySTEM Lab, I've done my engineering, but at the end of the day, I never used to understand science, physics rather, especially physics and chemistry much during my school days. When I moved on to engineering, I started experiencing things. When we experience it, you learn better. You remember it lifelong as well. So that was one of the inspiring factor. See, even like a person who's making the punctures, cycle punctures, who's able to repair the cycle, he's not an engineer, but he repairs everything. It's because the skill that he has developed by doing. So that's the whole idea where the MySTEM Lab has come into picture. Like, we want to make children experience the science and learn, not by just doing a rote learning and reproducing it in the exam.
Why did you choose science only?
Whatever you see around in this world or you experience is all about science. Everything has certain principle or concept lying behind it. If there's a fan rotating in front of you, why is it rotating only in that particular direction? Why not in the other direction? Or why is it not going fast, or why is it not going slow? So there's some concept lying which is being explained by science. The first step of visualization, whatever you see around, is explained by science. Later, the other subjects come into picture, like math. Math is a language for science. I mean, like whenever you start solving the problem of taking different parameters in science, then you apply the mathematics onto it. That's why my STEM lab has chosen science as a part where we need to throw more light, explain them in an easier way by doing lots of experiments, because only when you experience you understand it better.
How My STEM Lab helps children?
Our program is basically focused on science concept, just to ensure that students experience what they are learning from textbooks. Around that concept itself, we have developed our curriculum, in which we have around 450 plus science experiments, and these science experiments are basically catering to starting from grade 1 to grade 10. So almost all the science concepts are covered in these 450 plus science experiments. The program does not only help them with the concepts, but it also helps them to develop fine motor skills, gross motor skills, and the prototyping skills. So when they go to for their higher studies and for their engineering, let's say, so they'll be more skilled as a person. They'll be good with the concepts, plus they'll be good with the skills.
Apart from the normal curriculum, we organize quiz among students, and we organize junkyard challenges also. So basically in that junkyard challenge, we just give them basic tools and just give them metal strips, say nut bolt and all. So children have to make something using those items which we have given to them. Suppose we have given a challenge to the students that they have to hit a particular bell which is at some height. So they have to arrange material in such a way that they could hit the bell in less time. So that's what we keep on doing with the students, to generate or to create interest in science or to generate motor skills with the students. And along with this, we always post STEM question on monthly basis with the students, so where they have to think about that, so that they can write their answer in your own words, so that they can't go on to Google and then search it out. And in this pandemic also, we are giving STEM at home sessions to the students. So for that, we are sending videos on weekly basis where students can perform STEM activities with their items which they can procure from their home itself. So for that, they just need simple items, say balloon, needle, toothpick and all, and they can perform n number of activities with those. So, and surprisingly, students are performing those activities as well as they are giving their own ideas also, so that we can improvise our video, or we can improvise our own experiments. So that's how it's working in this pandemic too.
How did you approach school and how did you convince them?
So generally we contact the school principal or the science teachers. We go there and we tell them that, look, this is how we will be making your science interesting. This is how they'll be performing experiments. So we generally tell them about our program, then we give demonstration to them that how these experiments are actually conducted in the class. And that's how, when they realize the importance of it, then the program gets integrated into the school curriculum and the program starts.
How do you plan your work and organize it?
Generally, if you look at the general school cycle, the academic year starts somewhere in April in the northern part of India, and then in the month of June in the southern part of India. So it's basically like in the from the April if you plan. So we have to approach the school way before that, like at least 6 to 8 months or 10 months ahead of it, to close this deal with the schools.
Yeah, so when the order gets confirmed from the school end, it basically comes to the academics team. And when it comes to the academics team, we basically designate a coordinator for that school. So it is the task of the coordinator to plan out the list of experiments for the school, then to plan out the internal task, like how the order is to be raised, when the order is to be raised, and then the coordinator ensures that the material and the experiments reach to the school on time. We have a call with them just to ensure that the activities are being done on time, they are being done nicely. Then the pictures are taken from the teachers just to see whether they are doing it in a proper way and in the desired way. and the same is sent to the school principals and the school heads to just to tell them that this is what we had planned in the beginning of the session and this is how we are proceeding with it. So this is what the academic team does with the school.
So Vivek, in pandemic, as everyone has suffered and even the education system, so how did you manage in this pandemic?
Before pandemic, the situation was fantastic. We were almost growing at the rate of 100%, 150%. But now in the pandemic, we are just remaining afloat. So, and when you talk about the business model, more or less the business model is same. It's just that earlier we used to go physically to the school, the decisions were little fast. But now we are approaching through online means. Demos are online, so yes, it takes slightly longer for a school to take up decision. And as I told you that we export to other countries now. Export also, since we can't visit, the demos and all are less impactful. But when we start visiting earlier in 2019 pre-pandemic, we used to work with 100 plus schools overseas, but right now that number is slightly less. Plus you should also have your business model right for that particular idea.
So what is your message to the young entrepreneurs who really want to set up their startup?
My message to youth is you have to be passionate towards your idea or your work, whatever you're going to do. Apart from that, whatever you're doing might not be ideal. With time, you should be able to make those modifications required which are needed in the market. Sticking to everything ideal might not make you end up something in developing a business model at times. So you have to compromise on certain things wherever required to establish a successful business model.
Thank you Vivek, Bhavna, Bhargav, Mehak for joining us and sharing your experience. I hope this experience of yours will help young professionals in their future. Thank you so much.